I call it the PRO of YouTube. Is Content ID working? Is Content ID the thing that we were so afraid that was going to mess up our stock income, was going to mess up our sync royalties that we get from YouTube? Content ID has shown promise to kind of be this uh, PRO of YouTube, this uh, catching sync royalties. I guess they are sync royalties from videos that are not claimed on YouTube by the video broadcaster. But is it going to be income that matters for the music we put out there, mainly probably coming from stock libraries? Well, that's what I want to talk about today. What is Content ID all about? Um, are the channels we make and play our music going to make us income from Content ID? I want to get into that later on. But I really want to get into Content ID and what it is, talk about it a little bit. We're going to talk about it in the chat today. We're going to talk about it. If you've got comments, I'd love to hear what you think of Content ID and how it's working for you. And basically just kind of get into what is happening. As with everything in this channel, I talk about how things work for me. Not because it's all about me, but I'm the only one. I can only tell you my experience, right? I can only tell you what is happening with me, and maybe you can relate that to what is happening with you. And that's how I pretty much do this entire channel. So yeah, I am excited about this video and really just talking about, is Content ID working? Is it working for me? Is it working for any of you? I would love to know either in the chat or in the comments if it's working for you. But first, let's talk about, if you're catching this video wanting to know about what Content ID is and you've never seen this channel before, well, welcome to Make Music Income. This is a special live I'm doing today, kind of testing out. As you can see, I'm kind of using Restream again, just trying to test it out a little bit today, see how it works. The picture is not always as good as I would like it, and I hope the audio is good today as well. Did some major music, or I should say internet upgrading to get a better stream going. So I actually took my browser in, my router into the store, and they said, you know, you were supposed to turn this in like a long time ago. So I've been using really old technology, but anyway, great to have you all here today. Great. Isomatic says this stream is coming at a perfect time. I just got my first Pawn 5 sale today, and I signed up for Identifyy so that I can get that song in Content ID. Well, cool. Well, that's what this video is all about, is about trying to talk about, is Content ID working? And if you do have stuff in a Pawn 5, in Audio Jungle or something like that, that you also have a back end in case they do not monetize the sale, and Content ID can catch that in the background. So again, if you are just catching this channel, I want to tell you about a few things we have. First of all, we have our little short course. If you want to get into Content ID and you want to get into stock music and you're not into it, you can go and get my little free course I made on how to upload to Pawn 5. You can find that at the address right here on the screen, makemusicincome.com/Pawn5. And it's just one of the products that I have for free, just to give you some stuff to kind of get you down the road on making music income. Another thing I have, which is kind of strange, but it is a paper I wrote for my masters that people seem to be enjoying, I guess. It's called The Ubiquitous Style, Form, and Instrumentation of Corporate Stock Music. You have to make these titles very formal in your formal papers in your masters. But anyway, this was kind of a fun thing to do, to examine a bunch of corporate stock music on Audio Jungle, and then just compare the style and the form and the instrumentation and all the things that successful corporate stock music has. So might be something to look at, especially if you like to make corporate stock music. And then finally, for free, I also have my 50 Ways to Make Music Income ebook, and you can find that at makemusicincome.com/50ways. Hopefully, it'll be something that you like to use for your music making, for making more music income. 50 different ways you can make music income. Something in there has to be something that you can use. I hope it is. And then finally, the stock market. This is the ebook that I wrote about where, why, and how to submit your music to stock music licensing. So this is about Content ID, but Content ID money, in my opinion, really comes from stock music licensing. I'm not really sure how much is going to be collected outside of stuff that is stock. Now, we're going to talk about that today, and where are the other ways to make music income from Content ID other than stock, and we'll chat about that here today. But if you haven't seen our site before, go see makemusicincome.com. Lots of other stuff there besides the free stuff, and stuff about me, stuff about what we do here, stuff about our different videos. Also, make sure that you join our Discord. You'll find that in the description below. This is a 600 member plus community that is absolutely free for you to come in and talk to. And if you're watching this video and you're not in that community, you need to be, because we talk about everything from any kind of way you could think about making music income. But there's also feedback in there. You could get feedback on your music. You could talk to people about music production and equipment, and hear us talk about stock music, and hear us talk about sync licensing, and hear us talk about production, and all the things that we talk about in this channel. It's a plethora of things, or a plethora, depending on where you're from. So anyway, if you are wondering about the Make Music Income podcast, which usually premieres about this time on Mondays with my partner Stevie B, we had to move forward a week. Stevie B is a busy boy, and he is working hard right now on several different courses and things like that for his community. So we're going to push that a week, but I do have a special interview that I'm posting there that Steve did with our friend Dave Croft, and we're going to post that audio to the podcast. You've already seen that video on his channel, or at least an edited version, but this is going to be the full audio broadcast, will be on our podcast this afternoon, so you can find that. And then we'll be back on schedule next week with a great show about short media and how we can make music income, or can we make music from short media. We had quite a conversation about that, and you'll see that next week. So let me check here what is going on with everybody here in the chat. I just want to say hello. ISO is here. Arco, I saw you first as usual. Jonathan, thank you for being here. Rhett, I see you. It's good to see your show yesterday. Fret Noise, glad you made it here today and got reminded to join in. And again, congratulations to ISO. Let me tell you, when you first get that first sale, and it could be for $5, it doesn't matter what it's for. I think the first sale I had was on 123 RF of all places. And I think I made $3 or something like that on that sale. But I tell you what, it was the start of thousands of dollars I've made on stock media, and a nice little monthly income stream there. And it's hard to explain how a $3 or a $5 sale can totally make your day. But when you think about it, what if you got a sale on iTunes, and you got told every time you got a sale on iTunes and it was for $1, you'd be over the moon that you had a sale. Pretty cool. Well, this is sometimes $5, sometimes $10, sometimes $25. I had a $48 sale broadcast license from Audio Jungle. It is just amazing, and the what it feels like is pretty incredible. Eddie from Eddie Ake Music, just started my stock journey. Glad to be here, and thanks for sharing your experience. Hey, thanks for being here, Eddie. Appreciate it. Yeah, I have seen you, my friend, on the Discord, I believe, asking a lot of great questions, bringing a lot of great info. And KD, thank you for joining today. And so everybody, glad you are here. Well, let's move on with this video, because it's not just the people watching right now. I'm glad there's 17 people here right now, 18 people, but I want to move on into my script today. And again, working here with Restream allows me to do these titles and also allows me to share screens, and I'm going to be doing that a little bit today. So is Content ID working? That's what we're talking about today. Like I said, Content ID should catch what I call YouTube sync, or you could call it stock PRO, the PRO of stock music, basically. So is it catching the royalties from videos that are not claimed by the video broadcaster? That's the question. So what does this mean? Well, there's a lot of variables on if somebody is going to, if it's going to be caught by Content ID is what I'm trying to say. And by the way, I am not doing an advertisement, but I am not drinking any hot or warm beverage today, so that might shock some of you. But I was out today, out and about, and so picked up a little caffeine for this particular broadcast. Hope you don't mind. All right, so there are a lot of variables on if something is caught by Content ID. Number one, if something is cleared, like if the artist has downloaded a piece of stock music from Motion Array or Pond5 or Audio Jungle, they can go in and clear that, and then they won't get any kind of a strike against their video, or a claim, I should say, against their video. And they'll be able to collect all the royalties of that video. In that case, Content ID would not be collecting from that video because it was already cleared, and you, as the author, even if you are in Content ID, would not get anything from that because the author of that video made sure they cleared it. Now, where you will get money is if someone is either, number one, not monetizing their channel yet, and you have to think that there are a lot of people who are not monetizing their channel yet. They can't monetize it because maybe they don't have enough subscribers, they don't have enough watch hours, and I would think that's a lot of the people. So if those people don't have the ability to monetize, then I think that is something that Content ID can pick up. And then the other thing, and other way that Content ID can pick up, is if the people just don't monetize their videos. And if they don't monetize their videos, well, guess what? You are going to be able to get that collected by Content ID. Now, I don't know a lot more of the variables. I'm going to be studying it because I do have another video coming on Content ID, and Stevie B and I are going to do another video on Content ID at some point down the line. We've been planning it for a long time, but we kind of want to get a little bit more data and see how it's going. Maybe end of year we'll get to that. But this was just kind of an impromptu little thing that came into my mind today. And I do have some data to share on my end in the first payout. So I want to get to that. So on my end, all I can say is it's working for me. Now, mainly it's working for me because I have one monster video that is making most of the money. In fact, as you'll see, it's my number 2 stock income for 2022, and likely Content ID is going to be right under Motion Array as the most money I make from stock music. And for the most part, I have to say it is from stock music. It's from music that I have made for the stock music market, and then that music has gotten out and got on there. Now, there are some videos being claimed, I'll show you in a minute, that are videos that I put up, and I want to talk about that because that seems to be a bit of a misunderstanding about Content ID that I really want to get to. But like I said, this is going to be the number 2 stock income for me for 2022 at this moment. It should far outpace Pond5 and Audio Jungle for the number 2 spot under Motion Array. And so let's just, since we have the capability here to share my screen, let's just go right to the spreadsheet. Where's my spreadsheet? All right, let's go right to the spreadsheet. Now, you should be seeing that right now. And as you can see here, I don't know if you see it when I highlight it, but the number 2 thing, if we look at 2022, is Content ID. Hopefully that looks good to you. you don't see where I'm highlighting it. Doesn't look like. Maybe you do. But it's that second line under motion array, and you can see the payments that started coming in February and March and April and May, and also in June. June was the biggest one so far. Now, this is money that is after the money that they take out, that Identifyy takes out. But you can see we're already at 258.93. And let me just, yeah, you're not seeing the highlight of that. That's okay. But you can already see 258.93 is what I am looking at so far for 2022. And to me, that is pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. And you can see how far it's outpacing Pond 5 and Audio Jungle. Now, I'm sure other of you are making more. But yeah, I can't argue so far with it. And as we go into, and if you're wondering why you don't see it for July, August, or September, it's because that has not been reported yet. We just got the numbers for June a little while ago. So that is basically what I am seeing on my end. And like I said, it's a pleasant addition to the income, helping me to stay in that $200 to $300 a month area. Again, by the end of the year, that should be pretty significant. I do need to tell you that I won't see that paycheck for a while, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute. Let me get my script back here. And so, yeah, that is where I am with how Content ID is fitting in to my spreadsheet and to my income so far. Let's see what people are saying in the chat here. Let's see. Yeah, there's ISO saying that perfect time. Got his first Pond 5 sale. Very cool. Arco says the stream is good today. Thank you. Great. Well, it better be. I did some work to get everything back going here. Let's see. Is there a threshold to get paid by Identifyy? Yes, $100. And so that's one reason why I haven't gotten paid yet. I would have been paid already, but I did not meet the threshold, just barely. I'll show you that in a minute. JMO says, what about your PRO royalties? Well, PRO royalties don't really come into this here, and that's not really what I'm talking about today. And I don't really think I've seen anything from stock music on PRO royalties, or I've seen maybe some YouTube stuff, but not really anything from PROs concerning stock music. And I'm really mostly talking about using Identifyy to hopefully track stock music. I'll show you what I mean when we go to my Identifyy account here in just a second. Fret Noise says, I'd be curious to know if that close to 1 million stream also ends up getting money from BMI too. Yeah, me too. And so would JMO. We will see if that gets tracked. Since that video came out, it looks like it came out in December or November, and I've already gotten paid for my first quarter of 2022, I believe, was what we got paid for just recently. And if that's the case, then I haven't seen anything from it. So we'll find out certainly about that. All right, let's move on in this discussion here, because I want to also talk about my Identifyy, and I didn't make a nice cute little title for Identifyy, but the place that I am working with Content ID is called Identifyy. It's with 2 Y's. It's the word Identifyy with 2 Y's.com. And here, I'll just put it up in here. Can never spell it right. I always forget the N. T. Okay. Quit looking over my shoulder. I'm trying to type. So Identifyy.com is who I use. And let's just share that screen. I'll show you what they look like, and I'll talk a little bit about them. Let me go back to my first screen. Again, this is not going to be my definitive Identifyy video, but I do want to talk about it a little bit here. All right, where am I? Okay, back in the studio, we're going to share this screen, And let's talk about Identifyy for a second. So this is who I use for my music, and for Content ID is Identifyy. And Identifyy.com has been heavily suggested to me. We know other people, and when I say we, Stevie B and I, and other people in the Discord, know people who are making just gobs of money, thousands of dollars with Identifyy. Other people are having success with AdRev. We'll talk about some other options here in a minute. And when I do my Identifyy video, which should be coming out here in a few weeks, kind of a review, I'll get a little bit more into it. But this is the site that I use. And you can basically upload your things here. You upload your music files. Usually I just upload MP3s. Can't remember if I've uploaded waves or MP3s. I'm pretty sure they're waves or MP3s. Here, let's find out. I'm uploading waves, well, and MP3s. MP3s are faster, but you can see all the files that I have here. This is just the first page, and I have stuff that I need to upload to. And then basically, then you have a reports section, and you can get into what assets have been doing. Now, here are what I've seen for June, and you can see through every month. And you'll see also something that's interesting here is every month has, this is March, this is February, first month. You could just see, that's when I saw this video that was doing something. I was like 4,000. But what I didn't know was once I got to March, it had 50,000 views and it was starting to pay some money. And so you see all these things here. We're going to talk about those in a minute. April, and then May, and then June, which was, as you see, every month looks like you get different things. And some of these are, now I'm also making lots of zeros for some of these. 70% of one play. This one had 73 views and has zeros. So not everything is going to be a moneymaker. Here's something interesting that in June, this one that is making me a good amount of money so far is only earning, then there's this one down here, which is another piano song of mine, 83,000 views, but only 4 cents. Here's another one of mine from somewhere that I got 68 cents. So you can see that it's really this video that's doing everything for me. And if we go down here to the bank, which is pretty much showing me everything that I have income-wise, that's not what I need to see. I need to see payment summary. So here are the months so far. Net pay has gone up just about every month, not May, but I had more videos in June, but still it's that main one that's making me so much. And they take 30% out. Now you might be thinking, wow, you have to split 70-30 with them. But to me, I'm thinking, hey, I'd rather have 70% of something rather than 100% of nothing. So far I am looking at this payment right here on, you see the pay dates. I didn't have $100, so I couldn't get paid on July 30th. But now that I have these two sums will be added together, as you saw in my spreadsheet, and I'll be paid on October 30th. So to me, I think that is pretty good. I'm pretty excited by that. And I'm pretty hopeful that this continues to be a good income. You hope that there's going to be more. Now, I do want to say something. I want to see if it's time to talk about that in my script yet. I want to say something about alternatives to CID. And actually, I want to talk about content ID strategies, because I see a lot of people in the Discord that are talking about getting more of their music up on their own YouTube sites in order to get people watching. And I just don't think that's going to be a way and a place that makes you a lot of money from Content ID. I think the actual money is going to come from having one song on someone else's video that gets a lot of plays. I don't think that having, as you can see on mine, getting a few plays here and there on my own channels, and if I share my screen again and show you that, getting my own stuff on some of these things is not worth much For instance, let's see if this one's mine. The cool thing that a lot of people love about this is that you can actually see where those videos are coming from. Let's see, where was that link? Here it is. All right, so when you look at this, this is a really fun and cool thing. You can see how many views you've had, and let me make sure you're seeing that. Okay, and then you can see how many views you've had, and then see how much it's earning you. Now, as you can see, this one video is really doing all the work, almost 95% of the work. But this video here had 110 videos. Let's see if I can find something here. There are some videos where, yeah, I don't want to play an ad, so forget it. But if we look at some of these, you can see that they're from my site. They're actually from my my website, my own websites, and that from videos that I have made, and they are not making me much of anything, or nothing. And for all you people say, hey, 1 penny adds up. Come on. How many videos are you going to make so you can make a penny or two? I still think that getting stuff done where these two, for sure, people paid or got the music from someplace, and then put it on their video, and that's where I'm getting paid for. The rest of all of these I've gone in and checked, and they are basically from my own sites that I have put up, or they are on YouTube somehow, that in one of my channels of some kind. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, but personally, I think that you've got to really work on the stock side of things to get stuff out there, and then hope it gets on people's sites. So let's see, anybody else? Jonathan says, I've been with Identifyy since 2019. It works for me. My last pay was just over $15,000. Okay, sorry, I had to pause for a second because that said $15,000. So it might seem a lot, so I'm prepared to send Eric a shot to verify. Well, you don't have to do that, but yeah, Fret Noise says that's amazing. It certainly is amazing. Arco says that's a lot. Everybody is in awe and completely freaked out about that. Yeah. Also, Signature says hello. Hey, Signature, good to see you. Let's see here. Jonathan Carlos says, is that a spike or is that steady growth? And Jonathan says steady growth. So a lot of questions here. Can you upload on Content ID on YouTube? Okay, so let's make sure you understand that you are uploading to YouTube. I'm sorry, you are uploading your songs to neither, really. This is not loading up to YouTube and loading up to Content ID. Content ID is going out and finding YouTube videos that are playing music and getting income, getting the Content ID money from that, the royalty for the performance of that video. So that is what Content ID is doing, or Identifyy in this case is doing. You can upload directly onto YouTube, but I'm not really sure that's where you're going to get. You'd have to get hundreds of thousands of views. If everybody could get hundreds of thousands of views on YouTube, they would have sites that made them money. But what we're talking about here is music that people download, and maybe they download it for a piece of a penny because they pay Motion Array a monthly fee, but they put it on their video and they don't monetize it, and Content ID is able to monetize that video based on its number of views. So for me, that's how it works. Now, as far as AdSense tracks your YouTube plays based on the advertising that plays in and around your videos. So AdSense is completely different than Content ID. AdSense is what YouTube makes money off of, and not it doesn't have anything to do with Content ID. It's completely a separate thing there. Fret Noise says, Jonathan is very popular now, by the way. Jonathan says, nice. He says, nice. Congrats. Hope we can all get there. No doubt. JMO says, what if all your tracks are tied up with exclusive publishers? This is a good point here. Mostly exclusive publishers are going to ask for Content ID. So I think that uh, that is not something that you're going to want to do unless they just tell you you can run your own content ID. But so far, I believe the three uh, exclusive libraries I'm with, they would prefer to run content ID. And likely, if you look at my publishing video, which we just released last week with Trevor, they also would covet content ID, and that call that as one of their things there. So yeah, I would say you would not put up exclusive stuff to Identifyy unless you had the blessing um, of your of your publisher. Isomatic says, Eric, on Identifyy, are we able to go back and edit metadata after a song is submitted and approved? I want to add ISRC number later on. I'm sure you can. They seem pretty easy to work with. I haven't tried to go in and edit things, but I think so. I'm not sure. I can find out. Let's go in here and see. Can I edit anything of my assets? I can play it. It doesn't look like I can go in and edit it, but I would imagine I could email them about it and see if I could. So don't know about that just yet, ISO. Arco says, Identifyy says no, you can't. Well, that's bad. And Clint must be here in the chat with super dope. Super dope, as Clint Music would say, my friend. Jedi says, thank you. How do people find your tracks to make money off Content ID? So basically, people aren't finding your tracks. People are watching videos, and those videos might have your music in it. And if they have your music in it, then they are going to try to monetize that through Content ID. Now, if the people who are playing your music in their videos paid for it and got a license and got their channel whitelisted and stuff, you won't get any Content ID. I hope that is clear. That Content ID can only be tracked and paid from Identifyy. If Identifyy can get that Content ID money because the person did not monetize their own video. I hope that's clear. Arco says, is there any benefits of getting Content ID if I have my tracks in sync libraries? You need to check with your sync libraries. I take these might be exclusive libraries, Arco. If they are, you better check with them first, I'd say. Rhett says, yeah, that's good money. ISO says, okay, thanks for checking. I already wrote them before I verified my account, so I can probably get it rejected and re-uploaded. I guess so. I'm not so sure I would fret too much about the right ISRC. Again, the ISRC is not going to be what catches the Content ID. What catches the Content ID is the hearing of Identifyy and YouTube. Content ID is found through identifying the song through their mysterious listening devices. It's not found through tracking ISRC numbers. You don't put ISRC numbers in on your stock music, so stock music would not be tracking it that way. So I'm not sure that I would worry too much about it, ISO, because I just don't see that stock video is going to be related to ISRC. ISRC is much more on the mechanical side. If you listen to my publishing video, I'll try to put it up here if I can remember. If not, you can find it down below in one of my recent videos or just on the videos on my channel just from last Monday, where I talk with a publisher from Nashville, and we talk a lot about ISRC. We actually did, I'm not even sure if I put that part in the video, but we did talk about a lot about ISRC, and he says it's very important, but mostly for radio, television, things like that, where things are going to be tracked with a number. I don't think Content ID is something that tracks ISRC. I can get some clearance on that, but I'll find out. Yeah, and Arco also to that point says audio signature is how they are really identifying that. Jedi says, yeah, but how do the video creators find your music? Well, they usually find it on stock music libraries, which is why we keep talking so much about stock music and stock music libraries, because people can find your music there and they can download it for a price, and or maybe they pay a monthly fee and they get this music and then they put it out on their on their sites. And then Content ID, a place like Identifyy or other places will go and find that information, and or they'll listen for all the songs that are out there, and if they find your audio signature of your song, they're going to put it up. That's why you upload an MP3 or a WAV to them, so that they can see that they can have that to compare against what they're hearing on these YouTube channels. And so they can download it from a stock music site, and then they can put it on their YouTube sites, and then Content ID tracks that and then pays you based off of what that video is making. Now, how all that magic happens, I don't have the exact knowledge of that. But what I do know is that that's how they find their music, or maybe they steal it. And this is another guard against stolen music, which is if they find your music and somehow find a cheap or free way to get it, then Identifyy can collect that money from those people, so we don't have to worry that much about it. And you're absolutely welcome. Thanks for asking the questions. JMO says, see you, where does the money come from when Content ID pays? Who's paying? The video creator isn't charged. Correct. And just like I said a minute ago, I am not quite sure where that money is coming from, because I guess the point is that YouTube, if I'm putting this together correctly, YouTube is going to pay ad revenue to somebody. So if your video is being monetized by YouTube and that creator has not locked that down, in other words, they're not monetizing their channel, then they would be paying that money, that ad money, to somebody, and that ad money would be paid to whoever is owning the content, in my guess. And so I'm thinking that the money is coming from YouTube, because the video creator isn't charged, but he's also not making any money because he's not monetizing the video. That's kind of the whole point of the deal. Somebody's got to be monetizing the video, and it might as well be you whose content is being used. And so I guess that's the key. There's also, I know I've heard that when there's different kinds of music used in one video, then the money is split up between the different people whose music is being used. So that's what I think is going on there. I'll try to get some clearance when I talk about Identifyy here soon. Actually, that's not the comment I wanted to show for Arco. Arco said, YouTube has a video on how CID works, not in very much detail. Anybody interested can watch that. Jedi says, I Google it, and I think it shares revenue with the original video creator, so he is charged. No, I don't think they're charged. I just don't think they make any money off videos that they can't monetize. This all comes down to if the creator can monetize it or not. For instance, if I use music from someone else and it is found by YouTube, when you put a video up, it goes through a very careful process to make sure you own everything that's in it. So if there is music that is not yours, sometimes even if it is yours, you get a claim. But what's funny is if you have it registered with someplace like DistroKid or CD Baby, they will catch the fact that you don't own it and say, somebody else owns this. But in this case, basically, it doesn't share the revenue with them because they don't get any revenue if you're getting Content ID from my knowledge here. Again, the purpose of this video was to really just talk about is it working for me, basically, because obviously it's working for Jonathan, and I have heard thousands of dollars numbers before with Content ID. Jonathan, I would love to know how many songs you have up in libraries, and if you think most of this is coming from libraries, that would be good to know. I do want to talk about one other thing I had on my list here to talk about today, and that is the alternatives to Content ID I haven't tried. Now, I think once or twice I checked the box in DistroKid or CD Baby to collect that info. I've since gone back on a lot of my non-exclusive music on CD Baby and unclicked that box because I don't think CD Baby does a very good job personally of collecting on CID. Now, maybe that has all changed with uh, the new content ID rules and content ID collecting, but in my experience, I have not seen that CD Baby does a great job with that. DistroKid charges an amount, and I'll get into all of these in my Identifyy video. I want to compare Identifyy to using AdRev, to using SongTrader, to using distributors like CD Baby and DistroKid. I'm not prepared to do that today, but my experience with CD Baby and DistroKid is that it's not collected that great, and especially DistroKid makes you pay an extra payment every year, which doesn't seem like much unless you're doing, dozens of releases like I am, and then you have dozens of payments happening all through the year and just hit your account all the time. That's not any way to go. And I believe they take 20%, which is better than Identifyy. But I also don't think that DistroKid has a team focused and on content ID. I mean, I just can't imagine that CD Baby and DistroKid can collect for hundreds of thousands of their musicians, and I can't imagine that they are as really doggedly after it as Identifyy is. And I think, from what I understand, Identifyy has become that place that collects content ID and really goes after it. And I wanted somebody who's really going to go after it and not just kind of a side thing like SongTrader does or like DistroKid or CD Baby does. Now, I love both those companies. I work with them every day. I literally was working with a client today, getting them on CD Baby. I put out 4 singles last week on DistroKid. I love both of them, but I don't think, and same with SongTrader. I do tons of stuff with SongTrader, but and also I know that Audio Sparks also can act as your person to collect content ID, but theirs is not very good. I think you only get 40% of theirs or something like that. I'll like I said, in my Identifyy video, be watching this channel because I'm going to put out a video about Identifyy, talk about how it works, what you have to upload, all that kind of stuff. You saw a little bit of it today, but I'm going to get a little bit more into it when I get into that video. I'll do a little bit more research so I have some better answers about content ID in general. Let's look at the chat here. Fabio's in the house. Fabio, fabulous to see you. I signed up to Identifyy and use my channel as a catalog for my beats. They kind of took 1 week to whitelist my channel, but I can say their detector works very well. My songs were claimed since day one. So my question for you, Fabio, is how much are you making off of your own beats on your own YouTube channel? I just would be interested in knowing that, because to me that doesn't seem like the way that you're going to make a lot of income on this. Jonathan says, I'll PM you on the Discord. Yeah, let's talk, Jonathan. I would love to talk to you about this and about Identifyy maybe for my video and get some actual data. I only have my data, which is not that great so far. I mean, I'm so happy for it, but still, I would like to know where all that fits with you. I'm going to probably interview a few people who are making more than I am. I know Steve is working on it as well. We're going to have a video about what it's paid us as well. Jedi says, so does DistroKid pay as well? I don't think they pay as well. They also pay, but I don't think they pay as well. I can't see how they would. Speaking of them, ISO says DistroKid charges like $5 and they only give you 20% revenue. Check that, ISO. I think it's backwards. I think you get 80% of the revenue and they only take 20% of the revenue. I can't imagine they charge you $5, which is a yearly charge if I'm not mistaken, and they only give you 20% of the revenue. If that's the case, then you would not ever want to do that. But I believe you get 80% with DistroKid rather than 20%. Fabio says, I believe the video creator can't monetize their videos using your song. Their video will be copyright claimed unless they buy a license. That's absolutely correct. They cannot monetize their video if they're able to monetize their video. You have to remember that Not everybody is able to monetize their music videos or their videos that they make on YouTube. Remember, a lot of people are not monetized. They have not reached the level on YouTube that they can monetize their video. So now, if they are getting hundreds of thousands of plays on their YouTube video, then likely they are getting there, or they should get there. But there are also people, apparently, like the people that I'm making money off of right now that have this video, that are not monetizing that channel, and I am getting paid because they're not monetizing that channel. So that music is being copyright claimed and being paid to me and through Identifyy. So yeah, they would have to go to wherever they downloaded it. Now, maybe they attained it illegally. I don't know. But if they get it normally through a Audio Jungle, through a Pond5, through a Motion Array, they can go through a process with them to whitelist that, so it won't be claimed, and they will get the money. Thank you for that. Arco says, how many views should that video get to reach $100? Or my question should be, is the amount paid by Identifyy depends on other factors other than number of views the video gets? As far as I know, it's, well, obviously, if you saw on my chart there was one video that had gotten 89,000 views, but I only made 68 cents. And so it must be, it has either my music is not the only music in there, or it's not played very long. I don't really know how it's calculated, to be honest with you. So, all right. So let me finish up here a little bit. Let's get back to the question of the day. The question of this video is: Content ID working? Obviously, for Jonathan, it's working. $15,000 working. For me, it's working. I'm going to get a couple $100 or $300 in just in about a month. I'll be getting a check, my first check from Identifyy. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's working. No one seems to be scared. You know, one of the fears that I had with Content ID was that I didn't want songs to be not found on Motion Array, which was my biggest library, because I put them all in Content ID. But once Motion Array changed their numbers, as I talked about early in the year, there was no reason not to use Content ID anymore. I wasn't getting paid enough from Motion Array like I was before to worry about it. And now it looks like those that is paying off. Now, I'm not saying that the money I'm making came from a video that was downloaded from Motion Array, but I am saying that even Motion Array says they don't see a reason to not use Content ID. And most of the other, everyone else, except for a few outliers like Audio Sparks, they do not want your music on Content ID. Motion Elements in their normal, actually they're one of their monetizing ways, they don't want you to use Content ID. But everybody else seems to be rolling along with it just fine. And so all the libraries allow it, especially ones that pay me regularly. Motion Array, Pond5, Audio Jungle, those three are working fine and haven't really changed, other than they're just normal, terrible change this year in 2022 for the most part, as stock music continues its rocky road, as it has been for a very, very long time. Again, Content ID is my second most income from stock media, and I count it as a stock media income because the song that is making me the most is absolutely a song I made for non-exclusive libraries. And so we probably don't need to call it stock media, but I could call it non-exclusive libraries, and that's the way I think of those songs. And like I said, I just think that Content ID strategies where you make your own YouTube channel and you put your music videos up there, and to me, that is just not a way. I think I hear people talking about that all the time. I'm just going to make my own YouTube channel. I'm going to put my music up there. Well, are you going to get hundreds of thousands of views on your own YouTube channel? I mean, I know you want to, but how? You'd have to market the heck out of it to get that many views, or just get lucky. So again, I don't know if that's a great strategy for your making your own YouTube channel and then hoping you can do that. Fabio was talking about that. Fabio, if you're still in the chat and you have any thoughts about that, I would love to know. So let's see where we are. Anybody else have anything to say in the chat here? ISO says, how would a buyer on Pawn 5 know the song has content ID? I didn't see any indication of that on the songs on your Pawn 5 page. I don't know if Pawn 5 has a way to do that. Audio Jungle does, and Motion Array does. You can filter out by people who want to that are either on a PRO like BMI or they're on the content ID. So if you do not want to fool with those, but I just don't think that most people know enough about it to filter that out. That's what I was afraid of with using content ID. But I don't know if that is a thing now that people worry about. Pawn 5 has a very easy way for people to go in and copyright clear anything from content ID. So does Audio Jungle, so does Motion Array. So I don't really think that that is a worry for a lot of people. And so I don't think buyers are worrying about that as much as we perhaps thought they might, really. Arco says, I guess art lists have their own CID. Yes, from what I understand from Steve, and we'll talk about this when we talk about content ID, but they do run their own content ID. So he can't put those songs in content ID as far as I know. Fabio says, if you use YouTube to publish your songs, it's important to explain to the users on the descriptions of terms of using it. People tend to think royalty-free music is the same as no copyright music, right? So if you put it on YouTube and people want to take it down and use it, hopefully content ID or PRO will catch it in however it is used if you have it registered in those places. That's what content ID is so interesting to me as a PRO, as a performance rights, or it's really more of a sync royalty catcher, because it's being used behind some kind of, it's being synchronized to music. So to me, I think that content ID is very much like a PRO. And so if you are signed up with a PRO and you are signed up with content ID, you're kind of set. Also, as in my publishing video, if you go and look at my publishing video from last week, we talk about the other two things that you might want to be signed up with: the MLC for mechanical licensing and Sound Exchange for non-interactive mechanicals. But then you'll be set for YouTube coverage, you'll be set for performance rights coverages through your PRO, and you'll be set for mechanical coverage through different places that pay that. So yeah, I think you need to make sure that you are covered by having your music registered in the right place. We talk a lot about that on this channel. Jonathan says, I joined Identifyy when it started out. I'm sure there will be many people who are earning more than me. I know a few. Don't give up. Keep writing. Absolutely, for sure. Well, everybody, that's about all I had to say on this particular broadcast. We will return with our podcast next week. We have a really interesting podcast with Steve and I, where we talk about short media, vertical short media that we use on these different sites like YouTube Shorts and Reels, and of course TikTok. But I am not so sure that I believe in music income from those videos, because they are not, you're not able to monetize them on YouTube, and I don't really know how you'd monetize them on Reels or on Instagram or on TikTok, unless you had hundreds of thousands of subscribers. Just like there's big rules to make any money from those videos on those platforms. So we talk about that next week, and you'll get both our thoughts on that. We both released a short on Friday, and it's been fun to watch those. Steve is great, really. He does great work, and mine is just silly. But anyway, that's will be happening that week. Make sure you catch the podcast this week, where Steve interviews Dave Croft about a lot of things that he was interested in learning, and you'll learn things too. I hope you've learned some stuff today. I hope this has been helpful for you as I have gone through this information. Arco asked an important question. Are you going live tomorrow with Hello Composers? And the answer is no, because I am not sure that teaching live with Hello Composers is going to be the way that's going to be most effective with that, Arco. I have some ideas for how I want to do that page that kind of just came to me over the past week, how I want to do that channel. And I think that I am going to tape those and be a little bit more concise, because I want these to be teaching videos and really teaching music things. And that might be better to do without constant chat going on and different things like that. So I would just say, no, I won't be going live, but I will be putting up the video that I'm redoing for the third time the video that we did live, and some of you were live with me that day, and we had some technical problems. But Hello Composers is going to be an interesting site where I talk about a lot of musical things that you may not hear about on other channels, and especially the way I talk about them. So keep posted. Go to hellocomposers.com and make sure you subscribe there, because I'm going to be putting the first video out. I call it Opus 1. And I've just come up with a lot of ideas for this channel lately, and I want to do it a little bit different than this channel. And so I want to make sure people know when they're watching that video versus this video. So thank you for mentioning that. Everybody, thanks for being here. Fret Noise says, great discussion. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate everybody jumping into this kind of impromptu thing. Thanks, Arco, as usual. Jonathan, yeah, we will be talking soon, my friend, and we will get some information from Jonathan as we talk about Identifyy here in the next few weeks on this channel. So make sure, if you're not subscribing, that you subscribe to this channel, because we are going to be talking about making music income, as we always do, because that's who we are. That's what we do. We only talk about music income here, and all sorts of music income, not just stock music, not just sync licensing, not just publishing, not just producing, but all of it, even things, education, anything that you can make income with music. That's what we talk about here. And some things aren't as popular. I talk about sheet music, not as popular, publishing, not as popular, but I'm telling you, you should watch my publishing video, because it is a very important video, and there are answers in that are going to help you. So thanks everybody for joining, and I hope you have a great day today, and cheers to you as well. Signature Music Services, thank you so much for being here. Everybody, thanks for being here, and we will see you guys next time here on Make Music Income. Gonna let the stream end. Go see the next video, and